Yes, my name is Giulia. I'm originally from Italy, but since a few years I've been living in Barcelona, Spain. I'm currently working at Typeform. I don't know if you've ever heard about the company. I'm working within the data platform department as a data engineering intern. And later on, I will explain it a little bit more about my personal experience. But yeah, I will talk a bit about how to set up a GitHub profile. We will start from the basics, and I will give hopefully useful tips about how to improve your profile, let's say.
Thank you very much, Giulia. We appreciate your time, and for sure, I do believe like we would have a great information, especially when it comes to GitHub. So this stage is for you. You can start your presentation.
Okay, perfect. So I will start by saying that this presentation that I have prepared, I will share it with the girls of Social Hackers. So in case anyone is interested in having it afterwards, you can have it because I have included a few links in the end. So let's start. This is a little bit the agenda of the topics that I will be presenting today and that we will be discussing later. So to begin with, I will do a super quick introduction, even if I just anticipated a few things about myself already. And then we will see about the reasons why companies use GitHub and why programmers should have set up a GitHub profile. After that, I will go a little bit more in depth about what is actually the profile in GitHub, and we will see a couple of points more specifically, which are the readme file and some best practices, both in terms of style, let's say, and code-wise. After that, I have gathered just a few quick examples that I will show you about how to improve the profile appearance. And lastly, as I said before, I have included a few resources for you as extra material. And then at the end of the session, we will have time for a Q&A. Even though while I am presenting, if something is not clear, just feel free to interrupt me at any time. So I really want this to be engaging and useful for you. If something is not clear or if you have any kind of questions, just really please interrupt me. Open your mic and your camera if you feel comfortable to do so, or even just write something in the chat and we will address your questions. So I hope that this can be engaging and useful for everybody. I will start with the very basics so that everyone can understand a bit what we are talking about, regardless of their background. But still, if something is unclear, just let me know. So a little bit of introduction. Well, I have already presented myself, but just so that you know, I gave this talk also in another school which collaborates with Social Hackers, and I was a little bit surprised, let's say, when I first gave it, when they got in touch with me, because I'm not the typical person that has like 15 years of experience in the tech field. So you could be wondering, oh, well, that's a bit weird that this person is giving this talk. Well, I went through this process of having to prepare GitHub and having to search for a job myself in the first person. So I can relate with a lot of you that are doing their first steps in the tech field or that are struggling to find a job. So I have gathered all these tips that I found useful in the first place and hope that they will be useful for you as well. I come from a business background. I have a bachelor's degree in business communications and foreign languages, and I have worked for a few years in the cultural and music industries. Later on, I have switched career and I entered the tech field last year. I did a bootcamp in data science and machine learning, and after that, I complemented my education with some online courses and I found my current job at Typeform in data engineering. But not coming from a traditional tech background, it has been a bit a struggle, let's say, to move these first steps. So I hope that this advice regarding GitHub will be useful for your job search. So let's go talk about GitHub. So why you should use GitHub? Why do companies use GitHub? First of all, what is GitHub? In case you are not familiar with it, it is an online platform which allow their users to host code repositories. Repositories are, let's say, some sort of folders, some kind of folders in which you can host your scripts. And GitHub is based on this system of version control, which is called Git. So GitHub and Git are two different entities, two different things. Let's say that GitHub is the online platform, which is based on Git language, the Git version control system, to be more specific. And these systems, like Git, are used by GitHub in this case to track changes that you do to your code, to your scripts and documents. And using this kind of systems is one of the best practices that are widespread across coders and programmers all across the world. So just the fact of using it in the first place, it is very common and it is very recommended. So these systems like Git, what are their advantages? As I said, they allow you to make keep track of the changes you do to your code. But what does this mean actually? So what are the advantages? Why companies and programmers use GitHub actually? So GitHub, based on Git, allow you to do some series of useful actions. For example, to undo edits that you did not want to make, to revert some unwanted changes, let's say. Or, for example, fix some mistakes that you did. You included something wrong in your code. You can easily revert it by going back in time, let's say, and correct the mistake. Or, for example, to try some new features, some changes without touching the main code that is currently running and in production. So you can also try new things, new features without being afraid of breaking something. And lastly, this is very useful as well because using systems like Git allows you to access your code remotely on any computer, so you do not have to depend on your machine. So these are a little bit the advantages of using Git. So once we have seen why companies use Git, so why someone should care about having GitHub. You should, everyone that works in programming, no matter the language used, can find some benefits in using GitHub because through its system of repositories, you can upload your personal projects. And also, you use it to work collaboratively and, for example, participate in open source projects. So you can add your contribution to a project that already exists. You do not have to necessarily create something from scratch, but even just contributing to something bigger, it allows you to showcase yourself, and that's a lot of value. In fact, showcase your skills and eventually get noticed are the main benefits, are the secondary benefits, let's say, a part of practicing your programming skills, of course. If you are, for example, looking for a job, or if you have just finished a course, a bootcamp, like it was my case, or for some of you it will be the case, using GitHub and work on some projects which can be hobbies, it allows you to showcase what you are capable of. So let's think about GitHub repositories like some sort of portfolio in which you can showcase what you are capable of doing. Actually, it's commonly asked for developers to, in job vacancies, is commonly asked to include your GitHub profile in an application when applying for a job. Or even if it is not explicitly asked, it's still good to put it in your CVs or in your portfolio or in the application, because as it's a good practice, it improves your chances of being noticed. Also because GitHub, hosting your code, it allows you to show off a lot of skills that cannot be conveyed through a curriculum, for example, which is a different document. And also, your GitHub profile, apart from showcasing yourself and stand out from the crowd, let's say, allows you to say a lot about you. For example, if you are a frequent and a constant contributor, it is an indicator that you are persistent and you commit to a project. Or, for example, if you have a clean and well-commented code, it conveys that you are attentive to details and you are accustomed to comment your code and explain what you're doing, so that you can. It shows that you know what you are doing, and also participate in open source projects. It shows that you are capable of working remotely with different teams and maybe across various time zones, or work with people you do not know directly. So all of this says a lot about your personality and your way of working. All of this stuff you cannot transmit it with a curriculum, for example. So having said that, let's see a little bit GitHub profile in real life. We'll go to this link. It is opening. Can you see it? Can you see the GitHub?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is a profile that I picked. It's a very simple one of this full stack and web app developer. So let's analyze it a little bit. We have an overview of the profile. Then we have the repository collection, which I said before are where you actually host your code. And let's analyze a little bit the overview. So you have the opportunity to include your profile, status over here, name, username. Here you have room for a little description. And here on the left part, you can add some extra details as your location and social media channels in case you use them. Then this main part is the readme file, which is a markdown file that we will see later in detail, but it is basically your main opportunity to present yourself in GitHub just with a glance. And then if we go down, we have the opportunity to pin, to choose some repositories that we want to show off. And each of them has a name, a description, and the language used. And if we go even down, we have the contributions that this user made in the last year and their activity. So this is a bit the general overview of a GitHub profile. Going back to the presentation, now that we have seen the main components of a profile, okay, let's focus on the README. As I said before, it is this markdown file that you can use and you should use to present and talk a bit more about yourself with the aim of getting other people to know you. It can be a recruiter if you're looking for a job, or other programmers or potential future co-workers. So this is a file that you can write with Markdown language or HTML as well. And what should you put in your README file? So here I've gathered a little bit of some suggestions. The first one is to be honest about your skills. If you want to showcase the languages that you are comfortable using for programming, just be honest about it. And if you do not know a language very well, maybe don't put it, because just to do an example, if you are looking for a job in the recruiting process, they will test your skills. So it is better to just to be honest, because otherwise it could be difficult to went through the following steps of the recruiting process. And also another advice that I have found that it's a good way of creating this document is to find the soft spot between creativity and readability. I'm saying this because even if your objective is to stand out and to showcase yourself, you should always be careful, and you should always take in mind that the final, the destination of your document, so the person that is going to read it. It is good that if you want to differentiate yourself, but always take in mind that it should be readable and don't exaggerate, let's say. Also, another way to use a little bit more creativity without being too much is to use some add-ons or GitHub actions that we will see later if you fancy. It's not compulsory, of course, but you could play a little bit with these ones. And also these late points, the last two ones, may seem obvious, but I can assure they are not. So just for make life easier for who is looking at your profile, keep in mind that it's a good practice to include your contact details. It can be even just the email or social media or a website if you have one, but at least the email should be there. And also check for typos, especially as it is my case, if English is not your native language, you may want to double check the grammar and the spelling, because English is the main language used in the tech world, and you want to make a good impression. It's a good practice to check your skills. So here I have some examples of some profiles that I find that could be interesting, just to take inspiration. Maybe we can see a couple of them, so we will not use too much time for this. But just to show you a few examples. So this one, Stephen, we have a quick description, so we can just see at a glance that this person is a web developer, designer, and consultant. They have a blog. They're based in Kenya. We have the contact details, a website in this case. And the readme in this case is kind of simple, it's not too long, which is good. And we have a presentation, the contact links, as we see here. And in this case, since this person has a blog, we have the latest contributions with organized in a bullet points, which is a very easy readable format. Or let's see another one, for example. So this one is a bit more fancy, we can say. We have the description as always. In this case, we see a lot of emojis. So this profile compared to the previous one, we can see that it conveys a different feeling. It's more playful, we can say. But still, the information is organized very well. We have bullet points. So just with a glance, we can see that this person, Mickey, what is doing as a job, the main skills that this person has, hobbies, and again, the links, where to get in touch. And also this section, well, this maybe it's a bit longer, but it's blog posts. Or just see another one. Oh, this one is another one which is very short and sweet, short description, presentation, what this person does, writes, speaks, so we can see their contributions to, in this case, this person works in data. And again, recent writing. If you do not have a blog, of course, it is not compulsory, but you could easily replace, for example, this section with your hobbies or with your languages and with your skills. This is just a few ideas. Of course, you can customize everything. So once we have seen these few profiles, I will move on and let's see what are some best recommended practices. I will start with a disclaimer because there is no golden rule. There are no secret for the success, or there isn't a one size fits all approach in this case. So what you see here are just a few guidelines, but of course you should personalize and make them your own. So what I have seen, which is an approach that in my case has worked and for other people as well, is to choose the style with which you want to create your readme and stick with it across all your digital presence. If you have LinkedIn or if you have a CV, just make sure that your style is coherent across all the channels that you own. So if you choose an essential or straight to the point with bullet points, as we have seen, just make sure that all of this is coherent with your digital presence. Let's see that it's like that you are building your personal brand in some sense. And it can be more essential, more minimal, or if it's more in line with your personality, you could be more creative, more using emojis or adding some other features. Or it can be more code-based or game mode. You will maybe can see some examples later. It really depends a lot on your personality and what you are trying to achieve, who you are trying to reach. So really, sky is the limit. Just make your own style and stick with it also inside GitHub, but also outside GitHub, let's say. And code-wise, there are a few best practices definitely as well. And well, first of all, it's just an advice to, if you have a few repositories in your profile, make sure to pin your top ones, the ones that you want, for example, a recruiter or a future employer to see, that really show what you are capable of in terms of coding. And then we have seen that each repository, you have the opportunity to add a little description. So make sure to take advantage of this space to add a clear description of what the repository is hosting in terms of project. And you can also add some tags as we see here. So there is the name, the description, the language used, and if we open the repository here, there are some tags that make it more easily findable. So make sure to use this space to communicate a little bit more. Apart from that, I also suggest to, as I said before, comment your code. And if you are creating function, for example, in my case, I work with Python a lot. If you are create a new function from scratch, add some documentation, take in mind the next person that will use the function. Maybe you know it because you created it, but the next person may not. So your job as a programmer is also to make life easier for other people that may program with you at some point or touch your code. So these are among the most used best practices, to always comment your code and add documentation. Commenting code, of course, when necessary. It is not necessary that you comment every single line of code that you write, but otherwise it becomes redundant. But in case it's needed, it is something more complex, it's really a good practice. And also, use clear names for variables and functions. Again, this is something that I take Python as an example because I mainly programming in this language, but when you create a variable or a function, there are some naming conventions that you should apply, and they are very specific for each language, but still make sure that you refer to the standards of your programming language. And also regarding the indentation and the code blocks, make sure that your code is easily readable. So if there are some common variables, there are some common lines of code that belong to the same function, that they have the same logic, let's say use blocks and the correct indentation so that it is more reader friendly. Also, this comes very handy when you have to review other people's code. And also, when you have to collaborate in a repository, you will have to do a commit. Those who use GitHub regularly know what it is, and there are some best practices in terms of commit messages as well. And I have included in the link later, but for now, just take in mind that there are some standards when you write a commit message, so that it is clear for other people what you have added in your edit, in your commit. And also the last one, it's something that I was repeated a lot when I first started programming, is to remember the drive principle. Don't repeat yourself. So in case there are a few lines of code in your script that do the same thing, maybe you could consider changing it a little bit, doing an edit, and maybe create a new method to avoid this repetition, this redundancy in your code. This is another good practice as well, to have to keep your code as simple and as elegant as possible. Here we have a few minutes left of presentation, and then we can start with the Q&A. So I will show you just some quick examples of some extra add-ons that you could include in your readme file. So for example, this one is something really simple, but it could help in doing something a little bit more different. So this is nothing, there is no code involved in this case. You could use this page to add a little preview inside your file so that it is displayed like this, like some typing sentence. So here you could put, "Hi, I am Giulia, I am a data engineer," etc. You can customize it a little bit, and it will appear like this in your profile. All you have to do in this case is just copy this in your Markdown file, add it to your README. You can easily edit it by doing so. So you go to your README. This is the pretty view. This is Markdown, and just copy paste like that, and it will appear. Or something else that you could do is this one, which is very common. I have seen this across a lot of profiles, are stats that are related to your activity in GitHub. So it is shown like this. You have the stats of how many commits did you do over last year or over time, the PR, the pull requests that you have opened, and to how many repositories you have contributed. And this one is cool because it is very customizable. You can change the colors and also what to include and what to hide. For example, you could choose to show just the commits that you have done over the last year, or in general, since you have started your activity in GitHub. And again, these are some extra personalizations, but all you have to do in this case, again, just copy and paste this Markdown line And if you want to do some changes, add them in the line, and it will be shown like this in your profile. Of course, it will appear your name and surname like over here. And it could be a nice idea to just to show the people that you are active on GitHub and that you are a regular user, because companies value this a lot. Even just the fact that you use GitHub and you are used to work collaboratively, it's really a plus, especially when you're looking for entry-level jobs. So these were just a few examples of a couple of tricks that you could do, but as I said before, feel free to customize it as you prefer. Later on, this is the last slide, I have included a few resources for you. So this is a repo that hosts a lot of profiles that are very interesting, and the nice thing is that they are divided by category. So you could choose one according to your style. If you're more minimalistic, it will be more resume style with bullet points, or it could be adding some small games to your profile, like playing tic-tac-toe or something like that. And there are so many that really you can choose between a lot of them. Later on, I have included this link. Maybe we have a few minutes to see this. As I said before, the commit messages best practices. So these ones, let me just go straight to the point. Let's say that commit messages can be divided in a few categories, which are these ones. So you want to start your commit when you have to edit the code. Normally it starts with one of these prefixes, which can be fit in case you are adding a new feature to the main code, or fix if you are fixing a bug in the main code, and so on. Chore, refactor, according to the use case, you should always include this prefix, and then a short description of what your code is including, what are your contributions to the main code. And also there is, well, these are a few markdown cheat sheet, but if you, I'm sure that you are skilled in HTML more than I do, so maybe you won't need this to edit your readme. This is the list of emojis that are currently supported by GitHub. This is another repo, another add-on that you could add to display the profile views. And these are two readme generators. So this is the last thing I wanted to show you. If you feel lazy and you do not want to create a readme from scratch, there are some tools that you can use. I have included two of them. One is more simple, more minimal, and the other one you can add a little bit more features to that. We can see one of them just so that I can show you. It's very easy. So in this case, it supports 2 languages. And here you will have the preview of how it looks like, and here you can customize all the fields. So you will put your name, subtitle, description. In this case, we have skills. And if you want to add a picture, a banner, you just fill in this. You here will have the preview, and later, last thing, you should have to copy and paste it to your Markdown file. While the second one, as I said, is a bit more complete, you can customize it even more. So again, the format is similar. We have the title, so here you will put your name. I am blah, blah, blah. And here you have some sections that you can use or not. And the nice thing is that you can select the programming languages in which you are used to work with. So they are divided by categories: front-end development, back-end, mobile app, machine learning, database, if you use database, and so on. So you can choose as many as you like, or those that apply in your case. And if you go at the end, you can include your other links. And for example, LinkedIn, I recommend you to set up one in case you do not have it already, and include your link over here. And in the end, the only thing you have to do is to click on Generate README, and this page will do the work for you. It could also be a starting point, this one. And later on, once you copy paste this to your Markdown, you can customize it even more if you are feeling lazy. And that was it. So my presentation as such is over. And I would like to know if you have questions or any doubts about what I said, or just feel free to share what you feel like. I will stop sharing so I can see your faces. That's it.
Thank you very much, Giulia. This is very, very rich session. I like the new tools that use to customize and do designs and styles. Because when I left my coding school, it was all about the README, to be have a clear code, to have a clear commits. But I like very, very much when it's, especially for the commits, when you mention the doc, to start with doc, to start with test, to start with the style, which mean indicate your commits. Yeah. This is really, really, really great. Thank you very much. We have a couple of questions. Guys, no need to type. You can unmute yourself and ask your question for our mentor, Giulia.
Yes, please.
But let me start with Faten Uthmani. Thank you for your presentation. So as a beginner, how I can contribute in making projects and writing codes while there are people who are more expert out there on GitHub?
Okay, well, let me say that at first we are all beginners. We all start from somewhere. So there is nobody that starts as an expert already. And as such, there are open source projects, but also some online courses and some websites that offer resources for beginners. For example, in my case, I have done some Python online courses that included some exercises to do. And I did these exercises on my own, and then I uploaded them as a repository in my GitHub profile. And also another idea which applies in my case, it is to participate to competitions. There are competitions on platforms like DataCamp, for example, if you work with data science, data analysis, that allow anyone to participate. And there are competitions, especially for beginners. Of course, nobody will compare one person who has just started this path with another person of 10 years of experience. So you do not have to worry about that, because there are projects for every level. Also, something that I did, for example, was to participate in a project led by an NGO. It's something that I did outside my work as a volunteering project. And they use GitHub a lot. So I had the chance to make practice while I was looking for a job. And in this case, it was all beginners working with the guidance of someone more expert. So don't worry about your skills level.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would even like to add for Giulia comments, it's to start by small projects like calculator, to-do list, do it and then upload it to your GitHub. This would start enriching, especially for the beginners. When you start to get more experience, you can start contributing to something else. You will. But even if you are a beginner and you have the passion, I would support Giulia's point to participate in competitions. So the second question from Yusuf. Can adding our codes and the project to GitHub be a proof tool in terms of patents and intellectual property rights?
Okay, in this case, I do know that there are some kind of licenses used in GitHub, and you can choose from the ones that are available. Normally for open source project, one license that people use when they upload their code. Open source means that everyone can use it and customize it. They use a license which is called MIT license. It is the most common, but I am aware that there are also other licenses. So I advise you to check what are the available ones and just use the one that applies in your case.
Thank you. The third question from Serene. Hi, if I learned about 6 or more programming languages, but I'm good at 3 or 2, should I just mention what I'm good at or write all of them in my profile?
About this one, it depends, because the level of skills of a programming language, it is a bit hard to measure, in the sense that what does it mean to be basic or expert in Python? There are various differences in what does this mean. So I would say that you should include the languages that you feel most comfortable with, because later on, when you apply for a job, during the interview process, the person responsible will assess your knowledge. So that is when they will see which is your actual level. You can mention that you have studied some languages, but you are more proficient just in a few ones if you prefer. But just make sure that you highlight this fact. Just don't put I use 6 languages and I am proficient in 6 languages, because if you normally use just 2 or 3, highlight this point, so that the hiring person or other people involved are aware of this.
Exactly. Like they would assess even like your integrity level. If you are saying like, I know a lot of things, this would give them like higher expectation. Maybe they might ask you advanced questions, or to touch the self-awareness. If I said like, I know JavaScript, but I don't know JavaScript, when they assess me, this means I don't have self-awareness. Like I say something, I write something, but I don't know that I have it or not. So yeah. This would be a reason to eliminate you. So don't do that. Just be precise with what things you're comfortable with. It's not a question, but yeah, we will share the documents with the resources on Discord. So don't worry about the readme generator links. It will be included in the PDF that we will share with you later.
Yes.
In the chat, we don't have any other questions. I don't know if any other people have we want to hear your voice. Sabrina, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I'm sorry for not opening the cam. My internet is not that good, so I apologize for that. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Giulia. Thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. It was really beneficial. I do have one question though. Right now, as you know, we are studying with Social Hackers Academy, so we are doing lots of projects and putting them on our repositories on GitHub. Some of these projects are either incomplete or they might be too, let's say, easy to keep on our repository after graduation. So my question is, would you recommend that we keep them anyways just to showcase how much we have grown over the past few months? Or do you recommend that once we finish our training, we just filter them, take whatever projects we feel are most probably better to get us a job opportunity? Or maybe do you think we should just eliminate everything and start anew, start maybe some projects from open sources or something like this?
I would say that you can add both of them to your GitHub, in the sense that GitHub, well, code is never permanent, it's always ongoing, unless if it is a very short project or an analysis that you do with a very specific purpose. So even if it is not complete yet, you can mention it in the description, but I would add it anyway, because as you said, it shows how much you have grown since the beginning of the course. So you could add those ones as early projects, even if they are not complete, even if they are still ongoing. And when you have finished the course, if you will participate in other projects, or you either open source or create something from scratch, and you feel these are your top ones, make sure to pin them so that these ones will appear first in your profile, but still you also have your more old code, so that it is an indicator of your skills growth.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hope I have answered your question.
Yes, I totally got the answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabrina, Giulia. Any other questions, guys? I have a question for you, Giulia. Like, how much it's matter the activity on the green dots that you show for us? How much it's matter for the recruiter?
Let's say that it can matter when you are a frequent contributor, because as I said during the presentation, it shows that you are persistent and you are accustomed to use GitHub frequently, which if you end up working in this field, it is something that you will do every day. So it is a good point, even though do not focus too much on quantity, because in this case, quality matters more. If you just have a few repositories at the beginning, it's normal that you are not very active. You update your projects and that's it. You will not use GitHub every day. If you do not work in it, it is perfectly normal. So focus more on quality over quantity at the beginning. Don't give too much attention on the activity part.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, guys? Okay, at least I saw some smiles. I wish I can hear you.
I hope that it was useful. I hope that you will be able to create your GitHub profile. And if you are looking for a job, I hope that this will help you in getting one. I have went through the same process. I know it's hard, but it's normal. I'm sure that you will manage to find your way. And meanwhile, just have fun with some project, try out some stuff, participate, and be active with what you like. If you have some hobbies, you can link them to your project. So it's good also to have fun while you are doing it, because the job search is stressing. And having said that, the girls will share the presentation. And feel free to get in touch with me on LinkedIn or via email. I will put my email here in the chat. So in case you have any other question or curiosity or whatever, or any feedback about the presentation, I'm super happy to hear it and to know you. So I will leave my email over here in the chat if anyone wants to get in touch.
Thank you very much, Giulia.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to you for the attention.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Giulia. Thank you, everyone, for your time, for attending. I wish you enjoy the event and you feel that the information, it's enriching your experience. I do believe, like, for the people who just join us from the new class 18, they might feel it's hard information. You will digest it later. Maybe you can watch this event later to enrich your page of information about GitHub and how to get noticed by recruiters when it comes to your technical ability. I don't know if anyone want to say anything, Marta or Giulia, before ending the session and having a good evening.
That's it. Once again, thanks so much for inviting me. I hope the participants, you guys found it useful, and hope that everybody has a nice evening.
Yeah, so I just want to thank Giulia and everyone here. It was really nice to have you. It was a really nice presentation. And we will send it to all of you, even if some of you are not students with SHA, we will send it to everyone. Let's keep in touch. Any question that you have, feel free to reach out to us. And thank you once again, and see you in our next event.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.